New leak take of Devin Haney sparring with Gervonta Davis's upcoming opponent, Hector Luis Garcia. He responds to the leak on this sparring footage. That's what I want to talk about. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. As you guys see, Fight Hype posted some kind of clip of Devin Haney sparring with Hector Luis Garcia. It was rumored that Devin Haney had kicked out Hector Luis Garcia. I think he was asked about Gervonta Davis fighting Hector Luis Garcia, and he made mention that like he kicked him out of camp. Hector Luis Garcia had said something, and now all of a sudden the tape gets leaked. So somebody who was recording it put it out or gave it to Fight Hype, whatever the situation is. And this is the response from Davis's upcoming opponent. He's fighting Tank DC January 7th, pay-per-view, Showtime. You don't want to miss it. Hector Luis Garcia responds to the sparring being leaked by saying, quote, "My sparring with Devin Haney, thanks for reminding me how easy it was to dominate you. You still can't crack an egg or tear through a wet paper bag. Go lift some weights." And he put it in English and also in Spanish. Wow. And he tagged PBC, Devin Haney, and some other people. So he's saying that Devin Haney ain't got no pop. You know, at the end of the day, we're weeks out from the Tank Davis fight, so that should be his focus. You know, I think people say what they want about Devin Haney and say, oh, he doesn't have any power, but he just beat George Kambosos in two different ways at home. So you got to give him credit there. And what I've seen and noticed when people, I'm just not big on the he's a runner and this guy can't punch and he's a boxing track star. I don't really do all that. Like, if you guys have followed my channel for any length of time, because more often than not, all of the guys where people say that the guy's pillow fisted, feather duster, and things like that, when they get in there with certain styles, they tend to dominate that style, right? So it sounds good on paper. It sounds good to say these things and try to embarrass the fighter, but at the end of the day, it's about you got to fight him. So we'll see after the Hector Luis Garcia Gervonta Davis fight. Really depends on the outcome, because Devin Haney is undisputed and he's the man with the belts in the division. So I don't know how the fight will play out, or if there will be a necessity for Hector Luis Garcia and Devin Haney in the future. Obviously, if he gets past Tank Davis, if there's no rematch clause or whatever the case is, then there's definitely a lane for that fight that I would like to see. But Tank should be the favorite over Hector Luis Garcia. And with that being said, Tank has knocked out all fighters except for two. So if he does in fact body Hector Luis Garcia, there might be clamoring for Hector Luis Garcia to go back to 130 where he's a champion. Just really depends on how he looks and performs on the said night, January 7th. We'll see January 7th what Hector Luis Garcia has in store. Definitely a good fighter. Beat Chris Primetime Colbert in dominating fashion. Me, as far as the sparring with Devin Haney, you notice I saved that for the end. I don't really have too much to say, because sparring. One person might be, there's just too many nuanced things, and me being so close to boxing and like being in boxing gyms and knowing fighters and stuff, I don't really pay too much mind. Like, it's cool to see the clips and stuff like that, but you don't really know all the circumstances. For example, one fighter might be in camp for a fight and he's been in camp for a minute, so he's looking super sharp, and then they brought this other guy off the couch and he might look rusty. So sparring tapes can leak, but then if you get those same two fighters and put millions on the line and they're both training for the same amount of time, then there's no guarantee that the outcome would look exactly the same that it did in sparring. And I've seen and heard all the stories about people getting dominated in sparring, and then that person went on to beat the person in a real fight. Guys like Jean Pascal, I heard Lucien Bute got the best of him, but when they fought, Jean Pascal pretty easily dominated Lucien Bute. So timing matters. There's just a lot of variables when it comes to sparring. So I didn't really have too much of a take on what I seen. You know, I don't really know Hector Luis Garcia situation in camp. There's also different weights. Sometimes one guy is walk around weight is crazy and the other guy is at a lighter weight, and then they have to grow into their physique. This is still an Olympian, so it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think of the reply from Android, Hector Luis Garcia, threw some shots at Devin. Now, I'm interested to see if Devin Haney will respond. I will keep you guys updated, and I'm out.